How's it going, guys? And welcome back to another week and another Destiny 2 build video. Before we get started with that, per usual, like, comment, subscribe. Another thing that may have not been seen because of the end of my last video, which hasn't been doing as hot as the last ones, is if you got friends who want to try out some builds or just getting into Destiny and want to see some cool stuff, share my video with them. The more outreach I can get, the better for me, better for the channel. It'll make it so I will do more. This week, another Titan build. My Titan builds tend to do quite well, so we have another Titan build this week. Next week we'll do another Warlock one, and then after that I'll do my first ever PvP build for my Hunter, which is what I've been using a lot inside of PvP myself. But this week, Void Titan again. They got the bubble. We already covered the bubble. This week we're gonna cover the Sentinel Shield. So that this way, you have two different play styles, the more defensive bubble style of play, and then you have the more aggressive Sentinel Shield style of play. So that being said, we're going to start with the class setup with your fragments and your aspects. So first things first, a little obvious, is we're going to be running the Sentinel Shield Super, which is when you use your super, you can just, shield bash and shield throw and all that good stuff. I'm not going to read exactly what it says because key bindings are different across all platforms, especially when you talk about PC play. Now, the first aspect that we're going to look at is controlled demolition. Hitting a target with a void ability or volatile explosion makes them volatile. Further damage to a volatile target causes them to explode. Grants you and nearby allies health when volatile targets explode near you. Realistically, just taking this for the extra fragment slot, but do not overlook the explosions. It's a really good ad clearing tool, and the health is such a nice thing to have. It's just really nice. You can't kill stuff if you can't stay alive yourself. The second aspect we're gonna look at is offensive bulwark. While you have an overshield or inside ward of dawn, your grenade charges significantly faster. You have increased melee range and damage, and melee final blows extend the duration of your overshield. You gain an additional shield throw while in Sentinel Shield. So, with this, by using the throwing shield melee that we have on our Titan class, we're going to get an overshield, allowing our grenades to charge, faster, significantly faster according to the aspect, which will pair nicely with what we're trying to do overall with the build and the exotic we are trying to use. As well as, just overshields in general are really, really nice to have. Our first fragment we're going to look at is Echo of Leeching. Melee final blows start health regeneration for you and nearby allies, plus 10 resilience. I'm mostly taking this for the boost in my resilience because my Titan is, lacking in his resilience. However, we're going to be using melee a lot as well, so, health regen is, it's a toss-up. I use it due to, A, health regen is really nice, and B, my Titan is just a little lacking on the resilience side. The second fragment we're going to use is Echo of Persistence. Void buffs applied to you, which is Invisibility, Overshield, and Devour, have increased duration, minus 10 resilience. This is the reason why my Titan's lacking in resilience, is we took this particular fragment. But we're also looking to keep that Overshield up as much as possible to try to keep that grenade recharge rate up. Because, the ultimate goal of this is we're just going to be looking to throw a lot of abilities all the time, whether it be the shield or grenade or popping your barricade for keeping your team alive. The next one we're going to look at is Echo of Instability. Defeating targets with grenades grant volatile rounds to your void weapon, which also gives us a plus strength. I know we have a mod off the artifact that gives us this for just picking up a void elemental well, but we're not using it when we're looking at our armor and our mods. We're not going to use volatile flow. And this way, next season, when volatile flow goes away, we can still have a way to get volatile around. This is a build that's going to be able to be used after the season and have its viability still be very, very good. It is still probably going to be my go-to void build when I run it, mostly because now I can still get the benefit of the volatile rounds, which is probably one of the stronger mods of the artifact this season, so that this way, we can potentially keep the viability of Void up when Arc or Solar 3.0 comes out. The next fragment we're going to look at is Echo of Exchange. Melee final blows grant grenade energy. We're just using this to further cool the grenades, keep the grenade cooldown, down, and keep our volatile rounds up as much as possible. Every time we get a grenade kill, we're going to get those volatile rounds for, I believe it's 10 seconds, something like that. So if we can keep our grenade cooldown, down, like I said earlier, you're going to be able to keep those volatile rounds as much as possible, as well as take benefits into our other mods that I'm going to go over right now when we go over our armor. In my past videos, I've kind of gone over every little individual mod that's going into these builds, but with this one, I'm just going to go over the important ones that kind of put the build together and have it work well. First one we're going to look at is Explosive Well Maker. Rapidly defeating combatants with explosive damage spawns a solar elemental well. Explosions caused by controlled demolition and any volatile explosion cause this mod to work. For whatever reason, it registers as an explosion. I think it's because it's in the wording. And it spawns solar wells very frequently and very commonly. It spawns them very well. It's probably one of the best ways to make solar elemental wells, so keep that in mind for Solar 3.0. The next one we're going to look at is Elemental Ordnance. Defeating combatants with a grenade spawns an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type. This will grant us void wells, as well as solar wells due to the grenade kills and then the explosions caused by it by controlled demolition afterward. The best grenades that I found that I really like using for this is scatter grenades. They're so fun. They're so strong, especially with the exotic we're using. It's very well. We then have Well of Life. Picking up a solar elemental well grants increased health regen for a short period of time. Since we aren't going to run any way to get Devour, we may as well put those solar wells to use and give us some health regen. However, if you are running some way to get Devour, like if you are using the fragment that gives you, what was it? I can't remember now. But Leeching. If you're not going to run Leeching and we're going to run Devour, the one we're picking up an orb gives you Devour, you can run it with any other solar elemental well mod that you want. Just, make sure it works well with the build. I always would recommend Well of Ordnance, the one where it gives you grenade recharge on solar well pickups. The next one we're going to look at is Well of Tenacity. Picking up a Void Elemental Well reduces damage taken from combatants for a short period of time. And now we may as well take advantage of our Void Well. This is the best damage reduction mod in the game right now, with a 50% damage reduction. So now when you look at this, all these mods combined, we're going to get health regen, and it's a pretty significant amount of health regen, and we're going to get a 50% damage reduction. So you're going to put both of your mods to good use, and you're going to make them pretty easily. One grenade kill is going to spawn both your wells pretty often. And then let's look at the exotic we're going to be running. We're going to be running Heart of Inmost Light, which comes with the exotic perk Overflowing Light. Using an ability, grenade, melee, or barricade, empowers the other two abilities. Empowered means abilities have faster regens, melees and grenades do more damage, and barricades have more hit points. In the case of the barricade, it's a nice addition. For the most part, we're going to be using it to primarily empower the other two abilities of the grenade and the melee. The shield will now hit harder, allowing for that health regen from the fragment to be more consistent. And the grenade will now nuke everything that you throw it at, allowing you to get your wells a lot more frequently. And with the cooldown from this, from Inmost Light, and the other things that we have working with us, our grenades are going to come back pretty frequently. Another thing we're going to be using is Bountiful Wells. Elemental well mods that cause you to spawn elemental wells now stack, spawning additional wells for each additional copy of the mod you have equipped. With one copy of Explosive Well Maker and one copy of Elemental Ordnance, they will spawn one additional well, making it so you can spawn up to 4 wells at a time. One grenade kill is going to get you 4 wells. It's going to give you 2 void and 2 solar. Another thing too is people forget or just don't know about the additional benefits from running well mod. And that is they grant ability energy to either your lowest ability, if the wells don't match your subclass, like our solar ones will go to our lowest one, or to all your abilities if it does match your subclass. So basically, Our void ones are going to feed all 3 of our abilities at once, reducing the cooldown. So for example, say we just throw a grenade, and that's the only thing we have on cooldown. Your solar grenades or your solar wells are going to feed that, and as are your 2 void ones. So that's going to get your grenade back even faster. But if your shield and grenade are down, the solar ones are going to feed your melee if it's the lowest, and then your void ones are going to feed all 3 of them. But we're going to be making 4 wells, so we're feeding our utility mods with, Well of Life and Well of Tenacity, as well as getting a large chunk of ability energy back in the process. It's a really standard, fun gameplay loop to play. Usually I do weapon recommendations, but in this case, use whatever you want that's fun. Primarily this is a ability-based build, so you do not need to really concern yourself with the style of weapons you want to use. Obviously, since we're trying to get volatile rounds, you're gonna want to use, void weapons, funnel web, pointed inquiry, under your skin, stuff like that. Your standard void weapon. With that being said, though, that is the build. That is, my Inmost Void Titan build. This is probably the funnest build that I've ever played. I do not take it off. It's super fun. It's super rewarding. It's really, really strong. I've brought it into the raid every single time I've gone into the raid, and only swapped for the final boss for Thunder Crash. But it's really, really, really good. It's really fun. It's got a good amount of survivability and ad clearing and just damage overall. So with that being said, I hope everybody enjoys. Obviously, if you liked it, comment. If you really have a good idea for something that you want me to try to do, leave a comment. Sometimes there are days where I just don't have any ideas. Luckily, I've seen some stuff that has given me some ideas, and I had some ideas from before this that I'm going to put into the works. But, if you have ideas, please, please, please leave a comment down below. Obviously, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope everybody has a fantastic week.